Hey friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning into What Does It Take to Win. I hope you're having a great week. It's been pretty busy over here for me. If you're not having such a great week, then hopefully this episode picks you up just a little bit, or it gives you some cool ideas to consider, and it could help reshape your week. So I'm just trying to send some positivity over to you. Hopefully you can receive it. So I'm back again. This week, it's going to be a pretty interesting episode. I believe all of my episodes are pretty interesting, but this one in particular is a bit more interesting because it sort of came to me as I was, just sitting down in my head, of course, just thinking on some things and, some experiences I've encountered. So I thought I'd, share this with you. But before we jump into this, I'd like to start off by saying that if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link that is in the description. It will take you to my link tree, and then you can have access to all of my content. So if you need instrumentals, beats, if you're a content creator, a videographer, a photographer, and you do slideshows and still pictures, if you're a podcaster like myself, whatever it is that you may do that you may need some background music to it, an instrumental, or if you're a rapper or a singer, etc., you need some production done, head on over to soundclick.com/churchd. If you don't feel like typing that in again, you can just click the link in the description and go to where it says lease beats or get beats. And you'll be able to access over 140 instrumentals that are available right now at your fingertips. You won't even have to talk to me. You can just click lease, or if you'd like to, purchase exclusive rights, then you can reach out to me and then we can talk about pricing. But you could do that. Also, if you're interested in checking out some of my original music that I've put out over these last few years, again, click the link in the description. You can access my most recent single by the name of Don't Quit. My other albums entitled Something's Missing, my EP entitled The Big Reveal, another single entitled The Vision, and my very first album that I ever put out entitled The Cactus, Bare Minimum 2.0. So just go ahead and check out all of my content. And also, if you need a producer, if you need some instrumentals, if you need a beat maker, etc., you can book me directly. Or if you need some piano tracks, again, you can book me directly. I also started teaching piano. I have a 7-week course that is available online that you can purchase. And then, we can meet one-on-one each week for a session. And then I can track your progress and offer you some even cooler tips and, really take your piano playing to the next level. So that's it for my promo. Oh, last but not least, before I forget, if you are listening to this podcast and you say to yourself, you know what, this guy's giving some pretty cool advice or he's inspiring me, and you'd like to give me a donation, feel free to do so. My Cash App is available in the description if you'd like to send some money that way. You don't have to. You're absolutely not obligated. This money isn't just going to me. It's going towards a good cause as well. So I just thought I'd put that out there for those who would like to do so. All right. So that's it for the introduction/promo. Now let's jump right into the topic of the hour. So for this week, what we're going to be dealing with is speaking up. So that's going to be the focal point. We're going to talk about speaking up. So this episode is entitled Say Something. Okay. Now, if you guys know me on a personal level, you'll know that I'm a pretty quiet person. I'm pretty reserved. I'm not extremely outgoing, or what's this word? I'm not extroverted like people might claim to be. I'm pretty reserved. I'll talk with people. I'm not antisocial. I just, sort of like to keep quiet, right? I don't always have a lot to say. I pick and choose my words very carefully. So, but there are occasions in which, I'm just going to have to speak up. And so if you're in any way, shape, or form like me, if you're kind of reserved, if you're quiet, or even if you're shy and you don't always want to say something, well, here's your sign to finally speak up. So yes, as mentioned, the title of this episode is Say Something. Pretty much, if you're going to be successful, you're going to have to say something. So, we're going to explore how this ties into being successful and getting to where it is you're trying to go and reaching your goals. And I like always, I have 3 points to consider. And this week, I don't want to keep you as long as I did on the previous episode. I know it's been a long time. I went on my little hiatus, and I feel like I kind of talked your ears off. So this time, we're going to shorten it. So let's dive right in. The first point is, first and foremost, it's okay to speak up. So, let's really get that understanding into our minds that it is okay to say something. It's okay to speak up. The second point is knowing when to speak up and how to speak up respectfully, or how to say it respectfully. And the third and final point is to simply just say it. Just don't keep it bottled up. Say it, speak up. I know that's pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so let's begin to unpack. Let's start with the first point. So far, we've established that we should be speaking up. Okay, that's a given. But you might be asking, what should you say? Well, I would say don't speak up if you don't have anything to say. Don't be that person who just talks to hear themselves talk, or just talks to sound as though they know what they're talking about, or just to always be saying something like you're full of hot air, honestly. Speak up when you're feeling good. Speak up when you're ready to encourage others. Speak up when you have a question. Speak up when you're feeling discomfort. Let's stay on discomfort for a little bit. So yes, it's very important. You need to speak up. Don't allow situations or even people to get the best of you. It's very easy to be quiet and to allow these things to drain all of your time and your energy. So here's an example. Let's say you're going somewhere and you're standing in line, and the person standing in line in front of you, the person standing in line behind you is sort of stepping on your heel, and that's causing you discomfort. You don't want to have somebody with their heavy body weight on your heel. And you might just be standing there saying, okay, well, I don't want to offend this person, so I'm not going to say anything. So I'm going to stand in line for however long, maybe 30 minutes to the next hour, with somebody putting their body weight on my heel. Now, at the end of this, once they finally do move, I'm sure you're going to have some sort of swelling or a mark or even more discomfort on your heel because you refused to say something about that. You didn't speak up. Now let's explore discomfort as it pertains to time and energy. So let's say you're a very reliable person, and this is something I've dealt with, and sometimes I could still deal with it. But let's say you're a very reliable person. Any and everybody can call on you at any given point, and you'll be there. They can count on you for anything. But let's say you're beginning to get burnt out. Let's say you simply have too much on your plate. Let's say you're extra busy. Let's say you've just started on a new project. You're an entrepreneur, and you have to build this thing from the ground up, and you don't really have any support from anywhere else. It's all you and maybe like a couple of your family members or some friends that say you can do it, but that's as much support that you're receiving. As you are grinding, as you are working, now you have others calling you, hey, can you pour into what I'm doing? Can you help lift me up here? Can you come here and do that? And so on. You won't really have that much energy to put back into this project, this new venture that you're building or new company that you're building. You'll be burnt out. So you're going to have to speak up and let those know, hey, I'm sorry. My focus has now shifted. I don't hate you. I'm still in support of what you're doing, but now I have to prioritize time for me and, to really build my own legacy. And, this is actually going to be a good segue into point number 2, which is knowing when to speak up and how to say it respectfully. So, as I just mentioned, and if you could kind of tell by the way I was just saying, hey, I can't do this anymore, but I still support you. There's a way to, let people know respectfully and to sort of speak up respectfully about things that you just can't be a part of. People aren't mind readers. I know it's hard to believe, right? And sometimes they're actually completely clueless about what's being done to the next person. Here's an example. Have you ever been around someone who meant well? maybe you're just observing them, or it was like a one-on-one relationship that you had. They meant well, but they were actually causing more harm than good. Those types of people need to be handled with care. You just want to gently let them know about the discomfort that they're causing and sort of offer other ways in which they can be more helpful. So you might have a family member, you might have a really close friend who's just draining the living daylights out of you. But it's all good intentions. So check out this example. Earlier on, I briefly touched upon the whole introvert extrovert thing, especially just with my life. But let's say you're the type of person who is more reserved, a little bit more introverted, and you need time to recharge after a long day, or better yet, a long week. And so you kind of like to just be left alone and just sort of do your thing, maybe in the quiet of just having your music playing, or watch a nice show, just sort of be by yourself or with maybe one other person. Well, let's say you have a friend that is a bit more extroverted, and they just pop in, they show up with like a group of more of your friends, and they're like, okay, it's the weekend, let's hang out, party time, whatever. They bring over some games and just really loud and, it in theory, fun stuff to do. But you're already exhausted, possibly mentally and physically, and maybe even emotionally. Who knows what kind of week you had, dealing with some knuckleheads on your job, or if you're a business owner through entrepreneurship, whatever highs and lows you've gone through. And you just want this time to sort of recharge. Okay, if this friend comes up and, it's party time for them and they're thinking this is going to help you recharge, you're going to want to speak up at this point and let them know that you're pretty much down for the count and you just need some time to yourself to recharge. The way I would suggest to speak to them is simply, carefully explain to them, and just be open and say, hey, I really appreciate the fact that you're trying to help me to recharge, that this is your way of sort of regrouping and getting life back into you. But as for me, this is a bit draining to me. I need some time to myself to recharge that way. Once I'm, fully ready to go, then we can reconnect and, we can do the little party thing and invite friends over and play some games or whatever, or go bowling or something cool. You want to let them know that way. Now, here's the flip side to this. If your friend or family member or whoever, or acquaintance or associate, if they cannot accept what you just said and they have a problem with that, then you might want to tell them to kick rocks. Those are just people that you don't want to have in your life. They're kind of selfish and they will just drain all of your energy. So that's something else to consider. The type of people that you're around, the ones that you consider to be friends, family, acquaintances, etc., and so on. Who's draining your energy, who's helping you to recharge, and who is more so just a leech. They're pretty much in it for what you have to offer. I think I did another episode speaking about this. You can go back into the archives and check that out as well. But I digress. So let's jump into the third and final point, which simply says to just say it. As I mentioned earlier on, don't be one of those people who just talk to hear themselves talk, who really have nothing to say. Make sure that if you're going to speak up and you have something to say, that it's meaningful, and that it's, going to be edifying to others. Now, again, be sure to use wisdom, because you wouldn't want to be that person with good intentions that's going to end up causing more harm than good, as I just mentioned in, this previous point. I know some people who've done things like that. They had great intentions, but, they didn't make the best decisions. Here's an example. There was a situation that took place probably about a decade or so ago, where there was an individual who noticed that there were two other individuals who were at odds, and they wanted to behave as though they were the mediator. Now, I'm from the outside looking in, like, okay, this is just a recipe for disaster, but there's not much I can say at this point. So I'm just watching it. So the person who wanted to be the mediator decided to, not actually bring the two people together, but to talk to one person at a time. And that's just, a bad look because number one, they were inexperienced in, that aspect of counseling, but they sort of just took it upon themselves to be the mediator without, an overseer or an elder to run to and say, hey, is this how this should be done? So that was already a red flag. So they began to just talk to one individual at a time. I think it was one individual and their friend. So already there's like an alliance that's formed. And then by that time, this individual ended up getting all worked up. I believe their friend got them worked up as well. And it was just a recipe for disaster when it was time to confront the other person that they were at odds with. So again, I know that kind of went a little bit off topic, but I would rather you to use wisdom, before you begin to say something to others. Okay. Also, before you say it, be sure to ask yourself some questions like, okay, is this going to be helpful or is it going to be harmful? Ask yourself questions about how your delivery is or how it's going to be. Will your delivery be received or are you going to have to modify it? And last but not least, if you're still struggling to answer those questions on your own, then there's a chance you probably shouldn't just say it. Well, you probably shouldn't say it at that time. I think, it would be a better option for you to perhaps seek the wisdom of an elder or to even take their perspective into consideration. I did an episode simply talking about how we should respect our elders. And it's true because they were here before us. They seem to just know everything. I know nobody really knows everything, but it's like the questions that we have before we can even ask them, they're like, oh yeah, you just do it this way. I've been doing it like that for years. Or my great grandparents did it this way, and so on. Check in with the elders, check in with somebody that you look up to. It might not be a family member. It might be a friend. It might be a colleague. It might be a coworker, but just run it by them and say, hey, how do you feel about this? Or how would you receive my delivery if I said something in this manner, and so on? Is this offensive or can this be received? And I'm pretty sure they won't steer you in the wrong direction. I haven't met too many old people that were petty like that, that would, like to see things go up in flames or like to see drama happen. They usually try to help the younger generation. So my goodness, I guess, what is this? Respect your elders part 2? No, but honestly, these are things that you would want to consider when you're just saying it. And then once you finally say it, you got it off your chest. Hopefully you've done more help than harm. You've done more good than harm. And things will just begin to come together. Here's another nugget. I probably should have said this first, but you just sort of stick it in wherever you can, right? It's best to just pray if you're not clear on how to say something or when to say something. Talk to God first. He's definitely not going to steer you wrong. I know people tend to underestimate the power of prayer, but it's really, really, really helpful. And, whenever you pray, your prayers are always answered. It might seem as though it's taking longer to be answered, but no, there's been an answer. It's just you have to be patient and wait to see it come to fruition. So I had to squeeze that little nugget in there. And that, my friends, was the third and final point. Well, that was 3.5 points because I added the prayer thing, but you know what I'm talking about. So let's just do a quick recap of our 3 points. So the first point is, first and foremost, it's okay to speak up. Don't allow these people to get the best of you. The second point is knowing when to speak up and how to say it respectfully. Hey, we're not mind readers. You got to be respectful and let people know. Third point is to just say it. Go ahead and speak up. Just say what you have to say. But also, you need to use wisdom when doing it. And here's point 3.5/4. Pray about it. Talk to God first. He's never going to steer you wrong. Just say something. Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope it blessed you and I hope it encouraged you. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to share this. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people you don't even like. Share it with that person who keeps bothering you for advice. I got you covered. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link in the description for all of my content. I have some great things in store for you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.